Welcome to Built with Purpose. I am Chris Fay, and this is the show where vision meets execution and leadership leaves a legacy. From design studios to innovation hubs and product lines to skylines, we meet the people building more than great companies. They're creating culture, driving impact, and shaping what's next. These are the stories and strategies behind how the world gets built with purpose.
All right, everybody, welcome to Built with Purpose. I am your host, Chris Fay. I am really excited to have my friend, Dr. Grant Zarzour, on today. I know we talk a lot about technology and building and what things are happening inside of our business, but you know, Grant has got a pretty unique opportunity of a company that he's developing and really focusing on our health and our longevity. And you know, certainly it's been a big area of focus for me in my life. And as we think about like growing our businesses, we've got to start with having a healthy self and healthy teams. And so anyway, I'm really excited to have Grant talk to us today. So Dr. Zarzour, I'm excited to have you on, my friend. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, Chris. Great to be with you. Always enjoy getting together. Always some great conversation, and thrilled to talk today.
Grant and I know each other from a group called YPO that we're both a part of. We're actually hosting a meeting together coming up, and so we're really excited. We've gotten a chance to meet Grant and his wife, and got to know each other a lot better. And so Grant, I think this show has originated kind of in this working in people that kind of build these lasting legacies, building companies with purpose. So we really talk a lot in CEOs and technology, but you have this pretty amazing story as far as kind of where you've come from and what you're doing today. And I'm really excited to dive into a lot of the things that you're talking about as far as helping improve the health and the longevity of the teams and companies you're working with. But just before we do that, man, give us a high level overview of yourself and like who you are, where you've been, and what you're up to today, my friend.
Yeah. So for those of you watching on the video, you'll see I'm wearing scrubs. So the day job's orthopedic surgery. I did 6 joint replacements earlier today. So I'm a glorified carpenter, hip and knee replacement called Southern Orthopedic Alliance. We're the largest orthopedic group in Alabama. I have 40 surgeon partners, which means I get to hear about their feelings all the time. But I'm down in Mobile on the southern tip of Alabama, and I really enjoyed getting to help people walk again without pain and letting quality be our North Star. But the last few years started Sperity Health, as you mentioned, a longevity company. In one sentence, what Sperity Health does is we lower our members' risk of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and dementia by 50% based on data and science, not snake oil and Instagram. So it's been kind of a really fun to build that. We're a B2B solution because a lot of health companies are struggling with their health insurance, and all of us want to live longer and healthier, but there's just so much noise out there. So we kind of provide the quarterback to help you what to do, what not to do. And so I have kind of 2 full-time jobs, but I really enjoy it that way. And I think this longevity is the way we're going to really change the future of healthcare, because we've got to get more proactive.
So AI and Instagram are not the best source of health advice for me and my family.
Yeah, Chris, this comes to mind. I get this all the time when people go, "No, I read this." Let me give you the latest example. It was, I think it was Wall Street Journal this weekend. It was the cabinet, or Trump's people are eating sauerkraut, and now that's the healthy thing to do. Now is just shovel sauerkraut in your mouth. Well, what they buried in the story was that they also stopped drinking alcohol and stopped eating sugar. Of course, that had nothing to do with their weight loss or success. It was just the sauerkraut. I tell people, friends who have, they didn't really go to medical school, but I tell them they went to medical school at Joe Rogan Podcast University, and they're never in doubt. We got to bring some facts, some data, some science, because it's very easy to scroll and get confused.
Kind of mentioned wearing 2 hats, and you're starting this company and you're leading this other organization, but you're in surgery every day. You said you did 6 surgeries today?
No, that's right.
What how is it? Do you love that balance? I mean, there's all sorts of things I could ask you about yourself. Obviously you love practicing, but you also love kind of this visionary component. I mean, it's 2 different perspectives. I mean, tell me about like what do you enjoy most about getting in the surgery suite there?
I've gotten to the point I do 600 something hip and knee replacements a year, and outcomes are just really good, luckily. And people come back for a visit or two and then never come back again and say, I'll see you in the grocery store. I'm walking without pain. This is great. I mean, I had a patient recently who came, I did both hips, replaced both sides, and he was really struggling before. And he threw a picture down on the table of him walking his daughter down the aisle. And he said, you did this for me.
That's awesome.
And I've also spent a whole lot of time training and getting ready and getting good at it. And people go, well, now you got the longevity. It's getting, you got lots of business. Things are going well. I'm in the hospital all the time, seeing what issues that other patients are having in the hospital, talking about colon cancer under the age of 45 is an epidemic, cardiovascular disease, all the things that are killing us or ruining our quality of life. I get reminded of daily, and that's kind of maintains our North Star being, how do we tackle that? And how do we make sure that executives and employees out there, we tell people, what are you making all this money for if you're not going to have the health to spend it? And I think it gives us a little more in tune with what the market needs and what patients and employees need.
And did you always, I mean, was becoming a doctor, and was this always kind of in your vision? Like, did you grow up and just say, look, I want to be a doctor and this is what I want to do?
I wanted to be like my dad. And I'm one of 6 kids, 5 boys and a girl. And my dad was an orthopedic surgeon. And so when he was practicing and I was 10 or 11 years old, the summer came from school and I wanted to go hang out with dad all summer. So I was the patient care coordinator. I also developed x-rays in the dark room. So I would pull out the new film and put it through the machine back when you had the dark room. And they had a landscaper at the office that they asked, how much y'all paying this landscaper? I mean, he's not doing a great job. And they said $600 a month. I said, I'll do it for $300. And so my mom would drive me with a lawnmower, a weed eater, and the lantana plant, the jasmine, and the key to turn on the water. And I took care of all of it. I always kept my eyes open and lucky to get in medical school and go through that whole process. I actually got into medical school and deferred my acceptance. I wasn't the first person they let in, but I had this idea of traveling the world for the year. And I got all this great suggestions from people. And they said, oh, take a year off, go travel. I said, that's not like me. But I went and learned about medicine around the world after University of South Alabama said, yeah, take a year. We'll see you next year. And I said, now I actually have to do it. And so I went to all sorts of great places around the world learning about medicine. And it just reinforced several things. One is that was my calling, is healthcare and helping people get healthier, live better lives. And 2, I really learned a lot about how we're very similar around the whole world. We just happen to live in different places.
So I mean, I guess fast forward. So obviously orthopedic surgeon, you got the huge practice that you're working on, and then you start thinking about kind of the first impetus of Sperity. Like, how did that first idea hit? Where did that come from?
There were 2 major inputs. One is, I was finishing my fellowship, which is your last year of 100 years of training. And I was going to join my dad's group. He was running the group, and I was kind of foregone conclusion where I would go. And my dad got a brain tumor. And he was 71, running 5 miles a day, very, very healthy, no issues, and just got bad luck. And I had to quarterback his care, where to go, who to see, how to get there. It got so frustrating to get to the specialists. We called Johns Hopkins to, they're the best. They said, we'll see you in 3 months. We didn't have 3 months. And I had to leave my board exam 2 hours early to fly to Johns Hopkins to Baltimore in the last plane to go with my dad to take him through the emergency room in order to be seen. And I thought, this just can't be how healthcare is. It can't be this bad. 2 MDs trying to navigate the system was this difficult. And so I really wanted to help people navigate through the system. And so that was a big input for me. And then the second input on the longevity front certainly was my son. I have a boy and 3 girls. My son is 11 today, and he's the oldest. 9, 7, and 4 are the girls. And when he was 2, the school called on like day 2 and said, something's wrong with your boy. And I said, he's been there like 15 minutes. How do you know something's wrong with him? Like he just got there. They said, oh no, his eye contact, speech delay, anxiety, behind, just all sorts of things. And I was like, okay, so we go to a neurologist who spent a total of 30 seconds in the room. And he said, this boy needs to be on an antipsychotic medication the rest of his life every day. He's never going to make it at regular school. And mom, dad, buckle up. It's going to be a long, hard ride. Mm. And Chris, I mean, you know, Bree, you tell me and Bree, we can't do something.
Yeah.
And then if you make it about one of our children, we will die trying.
Yeah.
And so we dove into something that I learned nothing about in medical school, which is proactive care. And we learned about functional medicine, and we learned about dairy-free, gluten-free, low processed food, low sugar. We learned about diet, sleep, and exercise. All these things that some are becoming more and more popular and new, but some have been around a long time. And long story short, we kind of led Wyatt down this path of getting healthier and healthier, and his brain started to develop more normally. I mean, he got diagnosed with autism at 2, moderate severity. And over the last 9 years, we keep inputting all these, great solutions. And long story short, he's flourishing. He's at regular school. He's not on an antipsychotic. He's one of the smartest kids in the class. He's chess team, swim team, basketball, all sorts of fun stuff. And the big take home was about a year and a half ago at Christmas dinner when the girls say a blessing. Well, they always say a blessing. Wyatt had never said one because there was kind of too much going on in his head. But this night, he stops us before we pick up our forks and said, I want to say a blessing. And we go, okay, buddy. And he goes, hold hands. So we hold hands, and he goes, dear God, thank you for a great day and for our blessings. And remember those who don't have what we have. And this is a kid we didn't know would ever talk in full sentences. And,
Amazing.
Bree and I are crying, and you're only as well as your sickest child. And he's my biggest success. My other 3 kids are doing great as well, but like how he's overcome this and now really doesn't have a diagnosis anymore because he's doing so well. And I'm not to say that's not, we're N of 1, but it turns out that the same strategies we used really dumbed down to diet, sleep, and exercise, and then preventative imaging in labs. And there is a health crisis in the United States. And we are getting where our health span, the number of happy years, healthy years you're on the planet is dwindling. Your lifespan, I would argue, is not as important as your health span. We want to be active, doing things. And so many Americans circle the drain for an average of 14 years. Their health span is ended, but they're still here. And we're the worst, one of the worst in the world. And there are a whole lot of easy things we could do. And at the same time, you pair that with health insurance premiums, a double-digit at least increases year over year with no end in sight. It's an unsustainable line item in a lot of people's budgets that they're going, man, our product's good, our expenses are down, but we got to have healthcare, and we stink at healthcare. Well, we got to start doing something different.
So what? I mean, thanks for sharing that, man. I obviously I knew some of the story there, and it's amazing to hear. Any kind of entrepreneur that started a company, you start going back and you listen to the 1 or 2 things that really impacted them to take action, right? And it's interesting. I've oftentimes wondered this, and my stepfather was a family practitioner, and so I kind of grew up in a household with a doctor, and but just from afar, like I knew I didn't want to be a doctor, but I knew and learned about it. We would go do rounds in the hospital and, knew about it. And then like in my life, as I've begun to think about more preventative care, and, I came from an active, athletic, family where you ate healthy and you took good care of yourself. And so I was kind of grounded in those early on, which I think a lot of folks aren't. So I was given that kind of that early gift from my family, but, it baffles me when I go talk to my family practitioner and I ask him questions about things that I'm exploring, right? And he said something to me. So I asked him a question about a supplement that I was taking. I'm not going to ask you about it, but that was, and he's like, man, I got nothing on that. I'm like, really? Like it's not like that, like It's pretty out there. It's pretty well known. Like, just kind of curious.
Yeah.
I got nothing. So fast forward the next time I come back to him, and we're talking about longevity. He says, since you were here last, well, they've been starting to do some longevity training or healthy training for us. And he's like, there's a direct correlation between sleep and your health. And I was like, bro, you're like 55 years old, working for the biggest healthcare system in the area, and what? Like, what? So I've got a bunch of questions for you, but one of them comes back to your, your medical training. Like, what is it? Why does it seem so common to say I'm gonna take this proactive effort in my life to learn and to eat healthy and to sleep well and to exercise and to do all of these things, but yet the medical world doesn't seem to be built for that, right? It just seems to be built for, look, I've got a problem, I've got to get this person out the door because I got somebody right behind them, and it just seems like a machine, and it almost takes, at least this is my vantage point from the outside, it almost takes somebody like yourself that's like, look, I need to go above and beyond what I'm learning in the healthcare community, because you could probably do great fixing knees and hips the rest of your life and take care of your family and have a great business, but you've made an intentional effort to go beyond what traditional medicine has. But I mean, what is it? Why do you think, what's broken? Why is this not a conversation in healthcare education?
Healthcare moves slowly, and this is a paradigm shift. I mean, again, I mentioned in medical school, there wasn't one day of preventative care on diet, sleep, or exercise. Now, on the the other side, I mean, we're great at reactive care in the United States. I mean, if you get sick, this is the place to get sick. Let me be very clear. We're very, very good at that. But at preventing it, no, wait, that's not. And the problem is, insurance doesn't reimburse for prevention. And love it or hate it, this country, the way we work is, what do we get paid for? And you get paid for chronic this and advanced that, and treating those things. When you come in, I mean, I had a buddy last week told me he went to his doctor in Atlanta and said, I'm 42. I just did a marathon. I maybe lost a little too much muscle while I was training. I had a buddy die of colon cancer 2 years ago at 45 years old. You hear about these heart attacks and cardiovascular disease. What can I do? I know I'm healthy today. What can I do to stay this way? And the doctor said, you look good. Don't worry about it. And he's like, no, I want to worry about it. And he was like, I don't even know how we would get these things approved, or if you're talking about, and the system is not going to save you. You've got to take a care in your own health and be proactive, because maybe in the next 20 years, we'll see meaningful change in the healthcare system to start covering things like this. But for the next decade or so, you're going to have to do it. And you're going to have to find the right solution and the right partner and the right team. And it's sad that that's the case, but this is 2026, and it's not the strong that survive. It's the flexible. We got to adapt.
Interesting. Well, and even some of the things you even talk about preventative care, and I would even say some of the things that are covered on insurance. A bunch of folks in our organization, tends to be more males, is just simply going to get a physical. And I had a guy the other day, he's like, dude, I haven't had a physical in like 15 years. I'm like, go schedule that. And so, I think there's just a lot of things that folks can do to at least kind of take advantage of what's there. But let's kind of pivot over to, talk about like Sperity. And obviously you've got kind of this B2B model, right? So it's less on the consumer, although you do have a consumer model in your business. But, what are you seeing? Like, I would just say the average person that, of your customer base, like, what are they missing from an education perspective? Is there like a common challenge you see across all the people that you work with that you need to get them at least up to a certain level? Is there a certain level of education that people need? Is it just getting the advanced testing or knowledge? Like, what is the average American missing that, you guys at Sperity just see? Like, if we could just level everybody up from here to here, that would solve a major problem.
There are many thoughts, and I'll go through them. Kind of one, number one killer of Americans is cardiovascular disease. And the problem is it silently kills you. You don't have any symptoms until it's really late. Chest pain is cardiac muscle dying, and it usually requires 90% or more blockage. Well, you built that 90% over time, but you were just blissfully ignorant. So like, one takeaway from this is the most powerful preventative imaging tool on the planet is a CT coronary angiogram. Not a calcium score. This is a coronary angiogram. Once every 5 years, I want to see the soft plaque around your coronary vessels, around your heart, to see what your status is. Because if I can tell you, Chris, you have a 50% blockage right now on one of your coronary arteries, and if you don't do anything different, it's just going to keep getting worse over time, you will take action. You will change your diet. You will make sure you're optimizing your exercise. When you are faced with your own mortality, you will make changes. A couple other labs that are great to get, lipoprotein A and ApoB, not commonly gotten labs, but they're great indicators of cardiovascular disease. So that would be my favorite on cardiovascular disease. On
cardiovascular, let's talk about it. It's like, so if somebody has, they get the scan and then it comes back and there's a blockage and they face some level of mortality, because now it's on them. Right. What do you see as like the most common thing that the average American is doing to contribute to that? Like, is it diet? Is it exercise? What is it? What's the number one contributor there?
It's diet. It would be the number one in my opinion. I mean, exercise is the fountain of youth. It is a wonderful thing to do. And if you have to pick one type of exercise, it's muscle building activity, and it improves your metabolism. Everything's great about exercise, but we are poisoning ourselves with our diet, and it starts with sugar. Real and fake sugar is the devil. It tastes so good, and it is so bad for you. And way too many people start their day with a caramel frappa mocha chocolate with 1,000 calories and 100 grams of sugar, and you are screwed. I mean, for the next 2 days, you can't lose any weight no matter what you do. And that's why I think that there's this whole conversation on GLP-1s, which I'm not the biggest GLP-1 guy because of the side effects, most notably muscle loss, which nobody over the age of 40 needs to be losing any muscle. And that's the trade-off. But I think the most powerful weight loss tool on the planet is a continuous glucose monitor. You learn your body's relationship with sugar. I mean, you've seen people who are diabetics, they wear it on their arm, you can wear it a few places, but it shows you your body's relationship with sugar, and it gamifies your glucose. And so when you can see what happens to your body when you have a big, glucose sugar meal, and you see the spike and you see that you're going to be gaining weight for the next 6 hours or whatever it may be, and then you see what happens when you have a healthier meal. I mean, we have so many executives especially that have lost 10 pounds in 2 months, and everybody assumes they're on a pill or a shot, and they go, no, I'm on Sperity Health, and they show their Whoop band and our logo on here, and they go, this CGM has taught me that I was eating a Mediterranean diet, but I was eating 2 pieces of pita bread every night. That pita bread was destroying my blood sugar. So now I eat a half of 1 piece. That's the only change I made. And now I've lost 10 pounds in 2 months. And everybody's different. You may eat certain foods and your glucose doesn't go up. I may eat the same foods and mine goes crazy. And that's why you see people go, oh, they can eat whatever they want. Well, their blood sugar is not as affected, and we got to figure out your system. And we love a nutritionist kind of guiding that process. But I love a CGM because sugar, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll tell people 5 days a week is our goal to be good, not 7. Okay. I'm not eliminating these things from my life. I'm just trying for interval improvement.
Yeah. I love that. That was actually way back when I was really serious in the gym. I always looked at like healthy eating, diet, exercise as almost like a job. And it was like, so I was going to eat super clean and do my thing like Monday through Friday, and then cheat a bit on the Saturday. And I think that's right. One thing I've seen people that have tried to, cold turkey stop, alcohol or eating unhealthy or doing what have you. And the sustainability of that diet is terrible. It's like, you got to give yourself some forgiveness and ability to go cheat and to go, have a slice of pizza, go have a beer.
2 things come to mind. One is, Chris, you and I, we play golf every now and again. When I play golf, a whiskey front comes through and stalls on my foursome. Okay. And like, I enjoy that. That's not every day. That's like once every, couple weeks. But like, you know what the most common item that the super agers all do? They're social. They get out, they have friends, they have purposeful engagements with other human beings, they volunteer, they work. You have to still be social. So We don't want you to stay home, work out by yourself, never eat anything fun. We want you to go to the football game, drink a beer, have a great time, because there's some great data and science behind that. And people will point to the red wine and the studies. We think it's because they're drinking the red wine with other people and
Right.
being social. So that's a big part of it. And life still has to be enjoyable and fun. So it's finding the right balance.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, all right, so cardiovascular disease is kind of
Yeah.
number one that you see,
Yeah.
and obviously diet, biggest impact. Number one is sugar. Like what else?
Yeah.
What else do you see? What are some of the other killers that are out there?
Nobody, I mean, especially people that are under the age of 50, the number one cancer killer is now colon cancer.
Hmm.
And I know way too many people that have passed away or have advanced colon cancer today under the age of 50. And, colonoscopy starts at 45. There's not usually a line out the door of people running on their birthday at 45 to get a colonoscopy. I understand you still need that, and as indicated by your doctor. But we really love every 3 years doing a Cologuard, where you send off the sample and we can make sure that we don't have anything we're missing, because we've diagnosed several executives with colon cancer, stage 1 or even earlier, and they go get a colonoscopy, they get the polyp clipped, and then it's 3 years they come back and get another colonoscopy, but no chemo, no radiation is needed because it was so early. But they had no symptoms. We didn't send them for a Cologuard because we were worried about them. They were just, that was part of their plan. And they were completely, had no idea. And so you can imagine if they had waited years and years to get their colonoscopy, it's a much different story. Yeah. Nobody should be dying of colon cancer. So
I've actually read a pretty good bit about the spike in colon cancer, especially of folks kind of in this age group. Is there something? Is it the processed foods? Is it the American diet? Is there, I actually listened to a podcast a few weeks ago where there was a really interesting theory about what has caused all this stuff with colon cancer. And there was I think it was in basically the way that farmers are treating, chemical treatments and everything that are going on there. And I mean, any kind of backup or science that you researched there?
Yeah, I mean, diet is the number one answer, processed foods and causing inflammation. So you talk about treated substances that we're eating that can cause inflammation in your body. Your colon doesn't want to be inflamed all the time. And when you eat foods that cause it to be inflamed, it's trying to fix the inflammation repeatedly. Well, let's say that it's supposed to fix inflammation once every 3 weeks. The average American is making inflammation 4 or 5 times per week. So your body is constantly having to fix the lining of your colon and large and small intestine. And at some point, it's going to fail fixing the lining of your small intestine and large intestine. So we don't want to stress it too much. We're putting our intestines in hyperdrive, and absolutely it's related to food. I mean, that's why the movement on eating things that grow out of the ground and more organic, more healthy, and I understand those things are expensive, but like the farmer's market, and certainly substances that could be treating some things are concerning, but a local farmer's market is always going to be a great source for lower inflammation. And we don't eat nearly enough fiber. And if we do eat fiber, we eat it from a bar rather than a whole grain of fruit or vegetable. Whole grains, fruits, and vegetables should really be the cornerstone of our diet. And 25 different ones, or some can be the same, per week. And that, by the way, is how you change cravings. In your microbiome, in your gut, you have 500 million neurons that tell your brain, communicating back and forth, the gut to brain axis. You are what you eat is not a new saying. Well, if you can seed your microbiome in your gut with healthy whole grains, fruits, and vegetables each week, 20 to 25 a week, then your cravings change to healthier foods instead of Popeyes. And that's how it works. If you keep poisoning it with all these other awful foods, then that's what your body will crave. So I think we got to get closer to more natural foods, and that's the solution.
Well, and honestly, it's about building habits too. And there was, we've done some research here, and we talk about internally about how long does it take to build a habit, and it's a 66-day process to at least begin to build that habit, and how often we give up after a few weeks. So you're sitting here like, all right, well, whatever I start doing today, in order for it to become somewhat habitual, we are in end of June. You're talking about end of July, end of August. I mean, you're almost in September to the time that you're beginning to build those habits. And I think just us as Americans, we're just inherently lazy, right? And that we try and give a new diet a shot, or some sort of new exercise, or some new habit, or quit something that we have. We get a weekend, we're like, dude, this is crazy. I can't do this. But yet, if you just give it the time, science has said, 2 months, 66 days is going to get you past that habitual
It's
state.
exactly right. It's 8 weeks, 66 days, a little bit more, like you say. But I think educating people, I think there's a lot of us, a lot of employees, a lot of just we're just blissfully ignorant on what we could do to live longer. We think when it's my time, and my DNA just is going to determine it, and my genetics, my parents, and it just, my path is set. I'm here to tell you can manipulate that path positively or negatively. It's just really up to you. But we don't want to give up on people without having the education. And so that's big cornerstone of it, is first letting people know the steps they can take. And a lot of times you'll see people we'll look over their data, their heart rate variability, their deep and REM sleep, or whatever it may be, their CGM data. And we'll go, man, what'd you do Tuesday night? That was a great night. You slept the whole night. Your glucose was in the 80s. You were losing weight while sleeping. And they go, I stopped eating at 7:00 that night. And you know what? I went on a walk with my wife for 15 minutes. And we go,
all right.
And they go, maybe I should do that more often. Yeah. You're like, well, if you think so, let's try to, you have to teach a man and woman to fish. That's the only way it's sustainable, instead of trying to, preach and make them do it.
So I'm curious I'm completely pivoting, but just thinking about the Sperity thing, like what has this experience been like for you to, you're starting this company. I met a number of your a team a few weeks ago when we were up in New York together, and super exciting team. There's a lot of passion kind of around it. What's that experience been like for you to, you've got the doctor, you're really good at what you're doing over here, but you've got this new venture, this new entrepreneurial thing. You're obviously making a major impact. I mean, what's that experience been like?
It's been great because I love building things. I get bored with maintaining the status quo. I'm a builder. I think we're similar in that regard. Like, it's like, how can I change the world? If the goal is just do as well as we did last quarter or last year, I lose interest. So, and then also I see there's just a huge void in the market, but we have so many people reaching out to us saying, hey, I'm looking for a change. I want to come work for y'all. Let me help you do this or that. And it's been a whole lot of fun to build that team, and then talking to employers and understanding what they're facing, and also hearing that, man, we don't have anything like this. We did a gym membership we paid for. Only the healthy people went to the gym. We got an app, and nobody used the app. But, I enjoy, I think Sperity Health is going to be able to help hundreds of thousands of people across the United States. And logistically, it's challenging to get our doctors out and our nutritionists on site and everything else. And we love VO2 max test on the treadmill. We're measuring, that's the single greatest predictor in all-cause mortality, is how strong your lungs are. And Chris, you probably have a great score. And we rank everybody and compete with each other like a Peloton type. And it can be certainly anonymized too. But we're building something that I think is going to really help us get to where you were describing earlier. Why aren't we more focused on prevention? I think the business industry is going to have to help push that along, because I think long term, insurance companies are going to say, once we get a critical mass of members, they're going to say, wait a minute, all these companies are using this proactive benefit. We need to start paying for that, or we're going to lose companies, because they're going to go, why aren't y'all coming to me with this? Why am I, as an employer, having to go out and seek own solutions that my insurance company, my self-insured partner, is not helping me with? I think a lot of people are going to start asking questions, and so they don't want to be cut out. So I think that's the future. That's how you change, is let the business world lead the way, and the insurance companies are going to have to adapt, or they're going to lose some revenue.
Well, it seems like it's also like a one to many, or kind of hub and spoke approach. And I think about, like, we've got, right now 120 people inside of our organization. So there's like this network effect, you know what I mean? If you can access a business kind of one-to-one, and then all of a sudden you can expand your messaging out, obviously then creating some individual relationships as well. But it just seems like that's a great way to drive change. I mean, what's the fastest way to 100,000 people across North America? One at a time is going to take a lot of time, a lot of onboarding,
Yeah.
a lot of experiences, but accessing those companies. And it was really interesting what you said about the insurance companies as well, because, it's funny. Like I remember years ago, 15 years ago, when we were going through an insurance renewal, they're like, they come out with the HSA program, and we're going to create more responsible consumers, and you should be funding, your HSA, and it's going to drive down your insurance costs. And, it didn't really do a whole lot. I mean, it did for some make you a more responsible consumer, but costs continues to go up. And my employees, man, when we get a rate increase, and you get the data on our team, and it's like we're actually doing pretty good. And I'm looking in the face of people that are like, why is this costing me so much, like month after month after month, and every year there's just nothing you can do about it, and it's just such a helpless feeling. So there's got to be something that really changes the course of the way that we're doing it. And to your point, if we just follow the system, if we just go see the doctor, and when we're sick we go get help, and then we consume insurance, the reality is there's probably no end in sight. It has to be us taking a different course of action that's going to change it.
I think we're seeing more and more companies getting fed up with the status quo and saying, we can't afford, nor do we agree with this process anymore. And we're going to start piecemealing it on our own, where we're going to say, okay, we're going to add on this benefit that's going to focus on proactive care. We're going to make sure we get to the right doctors here. I mean, and it's hard for an HR team that's 3 or 4 people or whatever it may be, having to put all this together. And the CEO now has to be in the healthcare industry in order to control one of their largest line items you got. So it'd be nice for the establishment to solve the problem, but as usual, it's going to take some disruption, and it's going to take some time. But we're thrilled to be a part of it. I mean, we're talking to a company next Tuesday with 30,000 employees for a population health plan. We have an executive level plan with them first. And to your point that Hub and Spoke, we usually start with the executives coming on board. They then say, oh man, this is great. And then the employees get offered a plan, because the employee will come and go, hey, Mr. Executive, are you doing this? And if you don't say yes, then they're like, well, why am I going to do it? But
Right.
You get the buy-in once people have already experienced it, and go, man, actually, this is great. I'm enjoying it. Me and my wife are doing it, or me and my husband are doing it, and learning a lot and getting healthier and feel more energized at work. I'm not falling asleep at 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm making better lunch choices. We now make it a family deal. We go on a walk after dinner because we see it blunts your glucose spike by 50%. Whatever you eat for dinner, if you just do a 15-minute walk. And so you just start seeing those changes, and that's how it becomes a culture of better, healthier decisions.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I'm curious on the Whoop. You mentioned Whoop. I've used Whoop for many years. Like, how did you choose? You've got a wearable. I know Fitbit's just come out with something good. You got the Oura Ring and Whoop and everything. How did y'all choose Whoop?
So we actually are agnostic. We will use any wearable that can plug into our app, any of them. But the selfish reason that I love Whoop is, one, I've been a Whoop fan for several years now, 4 or 5 years. But I mean, I don't know if you can see, but I got the logo.
Oh yeah, I see the logos, man. I saw them last week.
Yeah. And so it's a marketing tool for us as well. And I can't fit my logo on that Aura ring. But it is a part of the engagement strategy. When you're at the water cooler and employees look and goes, oh wait, look, sees the band, and they go, oh, you're doing that longevity thing. I've been thinking about that. I'm going to do it. They didn't say anything. They just were wearing the Whoop. So it becomes that silent way of saying, oh, this is actually a good thing. I'm investing in my health, making it a priority. But I think that there are a lot of great sensors out there. The most important thing with any sensor is to stick with the same one. So we're measuring consistent data over time, and we can actually compare last month, last year to how you're doing today. And I'll tell you, I get asked all the time on, do I have to look at this every morning to determine how I'm going to feel today? And the typical man question is, we look, and that our wives say that, Grant determines how he feels based on his sleep score. And he's trying to wait till it comes up to determine how he'll feel, instead of just, how do you feel? And you can be over longevity. So our goal is we'll look at it. If you want to look at it weekly or monthly or even quarterly, are very acceptable frequencies. It does not need to be an everyday, or you have to log everything you're doing and how many steps and how many. I mean, there's certainly the opportunity to do that, but we only look at 2 main things off the wearable, which are the most important: heart rate variability and percent of deep sleep. Those are the 2 critical, DIM and deep and REM sleep. Heart rate variability is how much your heart is relaxed at night. And then deep and REM sleep is when your body and your brain are cleaning itself, mainly your brain. And we want to maximize deep and REM sleep so that you're recharged for the next day. And people go, how do you do all this work and everything? My kryptonite is poor sleep. If you give me 7.5 hours of good sleep, I can do anything the other 16.5 hours.
Yeah.
But if you send me on a trip with some of your friends, Chris, and we have a few late nights, then I'm going to be struggling the next day or so.
Yeah. So how many hours of deep and REM sleep should we be shooting for just on the average?
3.5 would be a great number. It can vary a little bit by person, but 3 to 3.5 hours would be great. And you add deep and REM together.
Gotcha. So I'm curious. This is a quick test, and this is just a little competitive thing because you and I like to compete with one another. I'm curious, and actually I probably have your data in here as well because we're in a couple of communities together. Mm-hmm. So let's see who has the best recovery score today. Curious.
Okay. It's not going to be me.
Oh man, let's see. All right. I actually slept good. I actually slept good today.
You know why? I had a little dinner last night, and I mean, your audience has work dinners and stuff. I had a little work dinner. There's a little red wine. I'm not proud of my score last night. Okay, do as I say, not as I do, Chris.
Oh, it's good. It's funny. I actually had a good night's sleep last night, so I actually had a really strong recovery score. I was at 95% recovered. Wow. I won't call your score out in the air.
Yeah,
but if we go to the averages, you and I are about, we tend to kind of be, 64%, 63% recovered. So it means that we're probably working hard and playing hard.
That's right.
So, that's awesome.
But well, great. The time period is now to really focus on long term. So middle age, almost middle age. We're not middle age yet, but we've got to prevent it now.
And I love what you said earlier. It was funny just kind of going back on how important muscle is, and you're talking about the GLP-1s and everything, and that this is something that I learned is like you think, well, I need to just go out and I just need to exercise, I need to run, I need to ride the bike, and that's great for like that cardiovascular VO2 max. But one of the things that I learned was just as you age, you need to have muscle density about you because that's like broken hips, broken legs. I mean, when people fall, is the people that are frail and don't have muscle mass the ones that actually end up with the injury that can be life-threatening.
1,000%. And if you have to choose you have a limited amount of time, you have to decide cardiovascular exercise or muscle building exercise. It is muscle building exercise. They're both great, but muscle is so much more. It's the most important piece of your longevity and quality of life puzzle. And you're right. I mean, if you lose the ability, your quads get weak, you can't climb upstairs, or you fall. And the average person will fall and break their hip at 75 to 78 years old. I think it's going to move a decade up with these people who are eroding all their muscle with GLP-1s. I think it's now mid-60s issue. And we're seeing it, by the way. I mean, I take care of people who fall and break their hip all the time. And I mean, there's certainly a connection. Now, will they get better in the future and less side effects? I don't know. Will they still cost $1,000? I don't know. But I'm just telling you what's undefeated is diet, exercise, and sleep. And I know we're always looking for the holy grail and the shortcut. It's the American way. But at some point, you need to look at this from the vantage point of, what works at our business for being successful is hard work. That's what's going to work for your overall health. It's hard work.
Doing the right things over and over consistently. Yeah. You just want you want the easy button or the order now, the prime order.
And I have groups I'm a part of. Them too will go around. How are you doing on your business? Oh, crushing it. How are you doing on your health? What's next? What else are we going to talk about? I'm fine. Everything's fine. Like, oh, okay. Everything's fine. Okay. I just see so many people they're later in their years, and they would trade their whole bank account to go back and make better health decisions.
Right. Isn't it amazing? Well, and I think to your point, it's just getting the education out, and then also is getting started. And one of the things I mentioned earlier is like my mom growing up, she ate very healthy. We were like kind of like meat and veggies and stuff pretty consistently. She was a runner. My dad was he played tennis, and so like I just was lucky enough to grow up in an environment where it just was natural to take care of yourself. But there's so many households that don't have that training and that environment, and like those experiences early on, and we've talked about in the podcast before, is like those experiences ultimately impact, who you are today, but it doesn't mean you can't change course. And so, so many people are like, I grew up, my parents weren't healthy, they didn't exercise, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, now's a chance to learn from that and to take action to begin to do something different. And, to your point earlier is like, you don't have to change your entire life. Just make progress. Like if walk 15 minutes after dinner 3 times a week, like have one less evening of alcohol, or one less evening of, high sugar, high fat, foods, and just begin to make progress. And then what's interesting about people, especially folks that have made like lifetime changes in their the way they feel about themselves, is it's infectious. Like if you're feeling a certain way about yourself, and then you begin to see improvement, like, hey man, I just lost 10 pounds, or hey, I can fit in that pair of pants. All of a sudden you're like, man, that felt pretty good. Like I want to kind of go do more of that. So I think the thing that I've seen is just people getting started and just committing to doing the right things over and over, and taking like 1 or 2 baby steps, letting that come to fruition over a few weeks or a month, and then taking another baby step and another baby step. But I just feel like people think like it's either I'm fat or I'm skinny, or I'm out of shape or I'm in shape, but it can be such a progression,
I completely agree. It's all about interval improvement. Like you say, we don't have to be perfect. Let's just try to beat yesterday and set realistic goals. And that's really the cornerstone of Sperity Health, is we got to meet people where they are and create a custom plan almost for each person on what's the right strategy.
No, that's awesome, dude. Well, Grant, I could sit here and talk to you for hours on this, man. I know it's your son's birthday, and you need to go tell him that you were late to birthday dinner because you had to hang out with Chris Fay on the Built with Purpose podcast. But man, the conversation's been awesome, dude. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being a part of the show, and this is such an important part of our lives. Like, work, great, all the things that are outside, but if we're not healthy and able to live and enjoy our lives, it just doesn't mean anything. And so, I think what I kind of took away from the conversation today is that, you kind of talked about just a few little things that we can do, and then also is needing to take action. Like if you're just relying on the healthcare system to change the course of your life, you might be waiting a long time. So what can you do to engage with a company like Sperity, or do research on your own, or to go take that one walk, or add that Whoop band, or add that CGM? Like just finding a way to take a baby step forward in your life. That was the one kind of takeaway I had from our conversations today.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I mean, I'll be thrilled to talk to anybody. My email's grant@sperityhealth.com is my email. And I love coming up with good solutions for everybody. And you certainly could check us out, sperityhealth.com. And we've really resonated, I think, for all the reasons you've described. And I'll be honest with you, I think we need 20 Sperity Healths in the United States. We don't really have any competitors on the B2B side, because it's very hard to meet people where they are and come on site and connect throughout the year and let data and science be your North Star, instead of maybe the biggest money generating options we could be selling. As long as I'm involved, which I hope is forever, it's going to be, what does the data and science say? I took an oath in medical school to focus on that. And so, but we'll be thrilled to help anybody. But certainly what we've already discussed here, people could make all those type of changes already. Don't have to have Sperity Health in order to do that. It's not rocket science, but I think it's just telling yourself that I'm going to commit to this. And so that's what I would encourage everybody is, say, let's commit and understand it's 66 days to make that habit change.
Yep. I love it, man. Well, dude, I appreciate you more than you know. Tell Bree and the family I said hello, and tell your son happy birthday for us. And I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Okay, thanks for joining me on Built with Purpose. If you have enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, share, and leave us a review. It helps more bold leaders find the show. For resources and show notes, visit our website and connect with me, Chris Fay, on LinkedIn. Until next time, keep building great companies, cultures, and legacies with purpose.